Tonight, a royal rumble. An angry senator's outburst as the King and Queen visit the nation's capital.
The trial of a teenager accused of murdering Emma Lovell. Did he know the other teen had a knife?
A milestone for the new Brisbane Metro. The first service hits the road.
Sky-high compensation for sacked Qantas workers given the boot illegally.
And a seaside spectacle. Supercars hit the sand on the Gold Coast.
Live from Brisbane, 7 News with Sarah Greenhalgh and Max Futcher.
Good evening. King Charles has received a welcome to remember in Canberra, being sneezed on by an alpaca and yelled at by an angry senator.
But crowds overall were big and enthusiastic, with many getting their chance to meet their majesties.
The King in the capital, at the front of Parliament House, fronting the troops to take the salute as a 21-gun variety was fired in his honour. Day 4 of his whistle-stop tour, and in Canberra, controversy after reviewing the troops outside. King Charles and Queen Camilla, guests of honour at a formal parliamentary reception, welcomed with both an Indigenous arrival ceremony and national anthem rendition. The King's speech an offer of gratitude and thanks.
In my many visits to Australia, I have witnessed the courage and hope that have guided the nation's long and sometimes difficult journey towards reconciliation.
But the moment he finished, controversial Senator Lydia Thorpe began. The crossbench senator's outburst infuriating many. She shouted Charles was not her king. The King and Queen appeared calm as security led her out of the Great Hall, leaving their majesties to meet and greet a gathering of great Australians. Legend Olympian Jess Fox, adventurer Dick Smith, former Governor-General Peter Cosgrove, all honoured to meet their majesties. But it was nothing like the reception they'd get from the public crowds today. This was the scene as they arrived at the Australian War Memorial. For some, it was almost religious.
Oh, look, but we did come out!
Okay?
That was so exciting!
Inside the memorial, more sombre moments as their majesties laid wreaths, flowers and paused to remember the sacrifice of Australia's armed forces. They also walked along the Roll of Honour, and of the 103,000 fallen, choosing 2 to place a poppy beside. First World War soldiers William James Johnson and William Punch. Outside, the memorial roads were packed, around 4,000 people and 1 alpaca. This is Hefner, and there's theories he's a Republican. Hefner had just sneezed on the King.
So he doesn't have great royal manners.
No, for sure, but look, as they say, never work with children and animals.
At least he was dressed respectfully.
Hefner is wearing a bow tie. He's wearing a little jacket here, and he's also got a crown.
As for King Charles, he didn't seem to mind.
It sneezed on me. I've got the shot. I was in Nepal years ago, an elephant sneezed on me. That's not a good idea.
The rest of the crowd, far more polite.
Go live the king!
Through ever-present phones, the royal superfans chanted.
I got to shake his hand. It was a dream come true,
So you shook his hand? How did that feel?
Incredible. Never washing it.
In total, King Charles carried out 10 separate engagements today, plus these public meet and greets. The British media say this is, today, by far, the most intense and demanding schedule since his cancer diagnosis in February.
Everywhere he went, the 75-year-old in constant high spirits.
Nice and sunny for you. Bit hot?
It's sunnier than Sydney.
Not like yesterday at their harbourside home, where the royal couple had enjoyed the Sydney sunshine at the end of the day, like any normal tourists, sunbaking, relaxing, taking in the majesty of an Australian spring day.
Quite a visit so far. Let's go live to Chris Reason, who's in Canberra. Chris, where are the King and Queen now? Good evening, Max. Well, the King and Queen have left the capital. A short time ago, they jumped back on board their flight and headed back to Sydney, touching down just a little moment ago after what was a very busy day for the royal couple. It also included official talks with the Prime Minister, opposition leader, discussions about climate change, domestic violence, bushfires, and planted 2 sets of trees and, of course, had that incident with the alpaca and was shouted at by Lydia Thorpe. They'll no doubt be looking forward to some more recreation time around that pool at Admiralty House. Max?
Chris Reason in Canberra. Let's get more now on that commotion in Canberra. Mark Riley, what did you make of it?
Max, I think most Australians will see Lydia Thorpe's actions for what they were: rude, disrespectful, grandstanding. There was a sense she was going to pull on a stunt when she appeared in a possum skin coat. It was, for her, all about attracting attention to her black sovereign movement, relaxed in the knowledge that no action will be taken against her. But it was just one sour note on an otherwise bright day for the Parliament. A shining moment in Parliament's marble foyer, signing the visitors' book in the building his mother opened in 1988. In the Great Hall, a collection of great Australians from politics, sport, the arts and business.
Since your first visit in 1966, you have been taken into Australian hearts, just as you have taken us into yours.
The King responding with a gift, giving the government's cost of living policies royal approval.
Australia's economic growth has been remarkable.
Praising Australia's growth as a multicultural society, but noting the big continuing challenge.
I have witnessed the courage and hope that have guided the nation's long and sometimes difficult journey towards reconciliation.
How difficult? Soon obvious. Independent Senator Lydia Thorpe wearing a possum skin coat, insistent, insulting. She'd been moved on earlier from the War Memorial, continuing her protest outside Parliament.
We don't need a king from another country to dictate to us what we do here.
Despite the disturbance inside, the Republicans' hopes that this visit might add new momentum to their movement have largely failed. The overwhelming sentiment here is one of goodwill towards the monarch. Opposition leader Peter Dutton making a dry observation.
People have had haircuts, people have shined shoes, suits have been pressed, and that's just the Republicans.
As the Republic movement courts controversy, calling it a farewell tour.
It is bad taste, particularly given the King's ill health. It's more or less saying we won't be seeing you again.
It's monarchy that we're farewelling. It's time to wave goodbye.
The only waves today, waves of adulation. Mark Riley, 7 News.
The trial has begun for a second teenager over the murder of Northlake's mother of 2, Emma Lovell, during a Boxing Day home invasion. The co-accused pleading not guilty to all charges. His lawyers arguing he didn't know that his companion had a knife.
Back in court again, Emma Lovell's husband and daughter attend a second trial for the second teen accused of her murder. In May, the other teenager who broke into the Lovells' home was sentenced to 14 years jail. Today, the second youth, who was 17 during the fatal Boxing Day home invasion in 2022, pleaded not guilty to all murder, armed break-in and assault charges. His defence, he didn't know the boy he was with had a knife. But the prosecutor told the court CCTV video from that night will show he did. And while the teenager didn't directly carry out violence, his knowledge of the knife prove the acts of the co-offender were likely to endanger human life. This CCTV said to be critical evidence that will be played during the course of the trial and includes statements being made by one of the 2 accused of "I'll kill you, I'll kill you." Emma Lovell's husband Lee, the first witness called, recalling how they were in bed when Emma received a security alert on her phone. "I thought the door was locked. What was your next memory? Hearing our little dog barking." Lee says he then sprang into action. "She just said the front door was open. I bolted, ran to the bedroom door. When you opened the bedroom door, what did you see? One male in the hallway right in front of my face. There was a second male in the living room. I suppose I would struggle to point out features of a person because it was dark." This is a judge-only trial after the teenager's legal team successfully applied notified to have the jury excluded due to the huge amount of publicity surrounding this case and the ongoing debate about youth crime in the lead-up to Saturday's election. This afternoon, neighbours were called to give evidence, saying they were woken by screams and saw people fighting on the Lovells front lawn. The hearing will continue over the next 4 days. Katrina Blowers, 7 News.
The LNP has pledged free health checks for Queensland kids as the race to Saturday's election intensifies.
Both parties stepping up their fight in the state's north with 5 days until Queenslanders head to the ballot box.
Blasting Bon Jovi. Preaching in North Queensland.
We're halfway there. We're halfway there with early voting. Get out, vote for a fresh start.
And promising a better start to life for the state's littlest.
When we make a belief.
Yeah. What happens then?
David Crisafulli pledging $27.5 million for free kindy health checks, expected to roll out by 2026.
If kids can't hear, if kids can't see, if kids can't speak, kids can't learn.
There would be retesting in grades 1, 3 and 5 at school. Labor says the opposition hasn't been listening.
This is something that we brought back after Campbell Newman and David Crisafulli cut these programs.
A test like this can mean the difference between a child going on to a successful life and starting a family and having a great job, or going down a life of crime.
Convinced the LNP's plan to tackle crime will help curb the rate of offending after a spate of incidents across Townsville at the weekend. Rockhampton, another hotspot for the election.
It doesn't have to be business as usual. It doesn't have to keep being like this.
David Crisafulli on a mission to blitz the regions in the final days of his campaign, also announcing another one of his so-called crime prevention schools for Rockhampton.
It's going to be good, isn't it?
Labor's focus also firmly on the north, 5 days until Queensland decides.
Let's talk to each other for a bit.
It's a brighter light.
Yeah.
Premier promising $5.2 million for a Royal Flying Doctor dental truck for the Cape.
It builds on all of the health announcements we have already made.
Growing the workforce will be crucial to making election promises a reality as unions push for $1 billion worth of pay increases across the public service.
The party that supports improving their conditions is the Labor Party.
And we will make sure that pay and conditions are the kind that we can attract and retain the best.
The opposition leader won't be drawn on linking inflation to wage rises for nurses, police officers and teachers, but he's also not ruling it out.
I want the unions to know we'll negotiate in good faith.
From one challenge to the next, when he's widely tipped to lose this weekend, he'll take every win he can get. Marlena Wapp, 7 News.
Live now to Jacqueline Robson in Townsville. Jackie, the Premier is really trying to protect those seats up there in North Queensland.
Yeah, well, the Premier is on his own regional blitz, Sarah, and headed to a polling booth in the marginal seat of Barron River, held by Labor's Craig Crawford, but it was his rival, the LNP's Bree James, who was forced to front the cameras over an offensive Facebook post she made on Saturday. Standing beside a defaced poster with a Hitler moustache, she quipped, "My banner is getting in the spirit and celebrating my German heritage."
It was a really poor taste and I'm really sorry about it, and I really hope everyone will forgive me for it.
Are you fit for office with a judgment like that?
I made a mistake. I'm really sorry about it.
Now, tomorrow it's on to Mackay, which is a seat held by Labor for the best part of 70 years. A retiring Labor MP could throw that seat up for grabs.
Thank you, Jackie, there in Townsville. We've heard the promises, now it is your turn to decide, and 7 News will bring you every moment of Vote 2024 live. Join us and our panel of political insiders from 5 p.m. Saturday right here on 7.
A tourist is recovering after being bitten on the thigh by a dingo on Gari. It's believed the animal attacked the woman while she was going to the toilet alone. Wildlife rangers are now monitoring the animal. The Environment Department says all visitors should walk in groups and carry a stick. A teenager has been charged after a 5-year-old boy was hit in the head with a large rock in Cairns. Let's bring in Jordan Quinn now. Jordan, the boy was on holiday from Japan.
Max, the family was travelling back from Kuranda on the famous scenic rail when the 5-year-old was struck in the forehead on Saturday afternoon. But just this morning, police arrested a 14-year-old boy who they believe was one of 4 kids hurling rocks at the train. The rock that struck that little boy was about the size of a tennis ball and caused a fracture to his skull as well as a brain bleed. He's now in Townsville Hospital in a stable condition.
We believe that there were a number of rocks that were thrown. I'm aware that at one point there was some damage caused to one of the windows, but the rock that has hit this child, we believe, went through an open window.
The 14-year-old boy will face court tomorrow. Detectives are now trying to track down the other 3.
Thanks for that, Jordan. A boy accused of stealing a steamroller from a Gold Coast construction site and taking it on an alcohol-fuelled joyride has faced court for the first time. The 17-year-old is alleged to have caused a trail of destruction through Coomera on the weekend. The heavy machinery eventually came to a stop in nearby bushland. The case will return to court next month.
Channel 9 has now confirmed multiple independent investigations are underway into allegations of bullying and sexual harassment within 9 News and elsewhere in the organisation. It comes after a report released last week found a raft of shocking cases of abuse. That report only sparked more anger among 9 employees for not naming and punishing the perpetrators. And today, one former staffer claimed she was raped by a manager, but it was never reported to police. Qantas could be forced to pay up to $100 million in compensation to 1,700 baggage handlers illegally sacked during COVID lockdowns. After years of fighting the claims, the airline has now apologised, admitting it needs to do better.
Sacked Qantas staff say this is the spirit of Australia.
Woo! What a win! Here we are. Ordinary Australian workers, what a victory.
1,700 workers to share more than $100 million in compensation after the largest illegal sacking in Australian corporate history.
I love my job. I love working at Qantas. I expected to be there till I retired, and when this happened, it was an absolute shock.
After considering 3 test cases, the federal court found the former ground workers are entitled to $30,000, $40,000 or $100,000 each, 4 years after they were let go at the height of the pandemic.
We will now make sure that we hold Qantas to account to make sure that every cent of that money that these people are owed gets into their back pockets.
Qantas says it accepts today's ruling and will now work with the union to expedite the payouts. CEO Vanessa Hudson apologising to sacked staff, saying the onus is now on the airline to learn from this.
The airline still faces penalties, the union pushing for a $100 million fine.
To deter not only it, but any other companies thinking about union busting on a grand scale.
This should be worth more than $200 million when all is said and done.
Amelia Brace, 7 News.
Donald Trump's bizarre stint at a Macca's drive-thru. Why it's drawn a supersized reaction, that's ahead.
A high-octane spectacular on a Gold Coast beach.
Why the world is going nuts for Aussie almonds.
And later, Queensland researchers on the cusp of a paralysis cure. A man has been killed in a horror crash at Morayfield. It happened around 5 p.m. yesterday on Buchanan Road. The 56-year-old was the only person inside the vehicle when it smashed into a power pole. He died at the scene. The forensic crash unit is investigating whether speed was a factor. A former Brisbane teacher is facing more historical child sex abuse charges after new victims came forward. Police say between 1987 and 1992, the now 69-year-old man committed more than 80 offences against 19 children on school grounds. The alleged victims were aged between 9 and 13. A task force remains set up for any new information that comes to light.
Donald Trump caused quite the stir today when he turned up for work at a McDonald's, apron and all. The surprise shift included a big serving of insults for presidential rival Kamala Harris.
If you don't mind, I want to work the French fry counter.
In 2.5 weeks, he could be America's president-elect. For now, he's Lord of the Fries.
Never touches the human hand.
Very good.
Nice and full.
Donald Trump at a Pennsylvania McDonald's. Why? Rival Kamala Harris claims she cooked fries for the burger giant 40 years ago. Now, Trump is calling her out.
In other words, she's lying, Kamala.
No comment from McDonald's as crowds turned out to applaud Trump and Harris at a Baptist church in Georgia. Today, her 60th. This as Democrats suggest billionaire Elon Musk may be breaking the law as he tries to get Donald Trump elected. Musk is offering Pennsylvania voters who sign a pro-Trump petition on gun rights and free speech a chance to win the equivalent of $1.5 million.
Every day from now until the election.
Donald Trump should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States.
Though behind the drive-through window today, he was quite at home.
Look at that, look at that. How are you? Thank you, Mr. President. Nice to see you. Hi, darling. How are you?
In the United States, Tim Lester, 7 News.
The world is going nuts for Australian almonds. They're now the country's most valuable horticultural export off the back of a boom in sales to China and India. Currently, 80% of Australia's annual almond production is shipped overseas, bringing in close to $750 million in revenue.
Brisbane Metro is finally here. So did it pass the peak hour test? We'll take you on board next.
How a Queensland trial could end paralysis, the groundbreaking research.
Vigils held across the UK to honour One Direction star Liam Payne.
And skincare for tradies, the Aussie brothers on a mission to help their mates.
Commuters have had their first chance to experience the Brisbane Metro. The service hit the road between 8 Mile Plains and UQ, but there's still no word on when 2 new Metro lines will be up and running.
Historic tap-ons, marking the moment Metro met commuters.
So excited for the Metro! Let's go, Metro!
We woke up so early. First aboard Brisbane's newest transit system.
Good. I've been looking forward to this since it was first announced in 2016. Very glad to see it running now.
They're a lot smoother, a lot quieter, and they're just overall really fun.
Packed at peak hour, it was standing room only.
The next station is Bulgo Road.
The new rapid buses will now service passengers from 8 Mile Plains to UQ Lakes, with Metros leaving every 5 minutes during peak times and every 15 minutes off-peak.
Metro is about revolutionising the bus product. We want to make sure that our buses are really competitive with rail in this.
Services on the 169 route will all be Metros for now, but the change isn't set in stone, with negotiations between Council and TransLink ongoing for full M1 and M2 services.
This is the start of our city's transition from public transport to mass transit.
The Metro is expected to cost $1.4 billion, $400 million more than budgeted for when Graham Quirk released the business case in 2017. Controversy has also followed the project over the use of the term Metro, which is usually reserved for underground electric rail. Council told 7 News any name change is not under consideration.
We support strongly these improvements in bus rapid transit. The only difference we have with Brisbane City Council is on the name.
It's honestly, it's just a bus to me, but it's nice and clean and brand new.
Let's hope it stays that way. Lawrence Jeffcoat, 7 News.
The deadline is approaching for embattled Townsville Mayor Troy Thompson, who has until midnight to respond to a show cause notice from the state government or face a 12-month suspension.
We look forward to seeing that response and seeking advice about whether the response is sufficient.
The Premier says there are well-established processes if a decision needs to be progressed while the government is in caretaker mode.
Fans of One Direction singer Liam Payne have held vigils across the UK. Hundreds gathered in London's Hyde Park to pay tribute to the 31-year-old who fell from a hotel balcony in Argentina last week. The crowd singing their favourite One Direction songs and leaving behind plenty of flowers and messages.
Cells taken from a patient's nose could be used to treat spinal injuries in a revolutionary technique developed right here in Queensland. Human trials are about to begin, offering hope to millions worldwide.
In 2023, Joseph Ponu was touted as footy's one to watch, being scouted by the Titans and on track for his athletic star to rise. One moment in time changed this talented footballer's life forever.
I was playing a trial match against the Brisbane Broncos and I collided with a goalpost trying to make a tackle. I became a C3 quadriplegic.
A life-changing injury on the field for Joseph, but thanks to a team of researchers right here in Australia, the trajectory of his life looks set to pivot again.
We are announcing the launch of a cell transplantation trial to treat spinal cord injury.
Joseph's part of this world first, a trial that uses cells from a person's nasal cavity, selected for their multifunctional ability.
It's the only part of the nervous system where you've got these professional cells that clean up an injury site and promote regeneration.
What you're looking at, these little worm-like structures, these are the nerve bridges, effectively grown from the cells at the back of someone's nose. They're unique to the person and they take 24 hours to grow.
It's revolutionary and one the scientists know is vital to get right.
It's been a combination of discovery and translation. That changed the way we did research.
The trial will accept 30 participants and kicks off in 2025. This innovation gives hope to those like Joseph living with spinal cord damage in an area where treatment has seemed impossible. They can now look forward to a new year full of hope. Nats Levy, 7 News.
Cutting friends to save pennies, why the cost of living is ending relationships. The surprising new research.
Pop icon Cher turns back time with a new Hall of Fame honour.
A seaside spectacular, supercars stars race along the spit.
And some Aussie star power helps raise more than $80 million for our little fighters.
Queensland's own acclaimed journalist Sarah Greenhalgh joins Max Futcher.
7 News is on the cusp of something really exciting here.
They don't just read the news, they report it to you.
So I think that's what is probably unique about the two of us.
Two Queenslanders who've covered some of the biggest stories around the world now bring their experience to you.
We're journos, and I will always be a journalist first and foremost.
Sarah Greenhalgh joins 7 News nightly at 6.
A record $83.2 million has been raised in this year's telethon. Celebrities including Guy Sebastian, Human Nature and Samantha Jade came together to help bring in donations for the health and well-being of children across WA. Channel 7 stars also joined in the epic 26-hour fundraising event. Since it started in 1968, the telethons raised an astonishing $650 million. More Australians are putting a price on friendship, with social circles slashed to save some coin. More of us are going to fewer events or skipping them altogether due to the rising cost of living.
From weekend brunches to weddings, for many, socialising is starting to feel like a luxury.
Everyone's a lot tighter and a lot more conscious of what they're spending.
Definitely a lot more conscious of the rising costs.
And it's putting social lives on ice. Aussies cutting costs by cutting company.
Almost half of Australians have done something within their friend group to mitigate costs at the moment.
Swapping fancy nights out for frugal nights in, and it's the younger generation leading the way.
Gen Z and millennials, it's about 1 in 10 have cut out friends.
Just 2% of baby boomers have axed a pal, instead choosing to keep friends close.
From park catch-ups to movie nights at home, there are still plenty of ways to stay social without breaking the bank. And for big events, experts say budgeting is key.
It's about getting into those financial habits and really having that financial goal in mind so that you can continue to enjoy those moments with your friends.
Track spending and automate savings to keep finances in check and friendships afloat. Georgia Holland, 7 News.
Legendary entertainer Cher has been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Dua Lipa joined the 78-year-old to open the show with her classic song, Believe. So worth the wait. Cher has sold more than 100 million records worldwide, making her one of the best-selling musical artists of all time. Well, it's nearly time to take a look on the sunny side. Our brand new segment giving you something to smile about. Tonight, we meet Caesar, the newest resident at the Darling Downs Zoo. That story is just ahead on 7 News.
Now it is time for sport with an equally fine Darling Downs product.
Not related to the line though, Sarah. Hello everyone. Coming up, holy homoly, Polax prop Lindsay Collins on the hit heard around the Pacific. Plus, a nightmare start to the summer for Queensland's Test stars and hopefuls.
On 7 News, Australia's major change to airline travel.
Here's an exciting, really great opportunity.
The high-tech help that'll slash waiting times.
The primary purpose of this is to ensure it's a seamless experience for our passengers.
What you'll need to do at the airport. Exclusively on 7 News at 6.
He's counting his teeth and ribs, but Lindsay Collins insists the hit he copped from a Tongan torpedo is good for the international game. And the top prop believes the resolve the Roos showed in the Pacific Championships opener has them primed for the Kiwis.
Still smiling and standing, Lindsay Collins after the hit heard around the Pacific.
That's footy, that's my job, so I'm going to get smashed. It's inevitable.
The rib rattler that rocked the rooster wasn't so funny at the time.
What a shot, Owakawatu! Lindsay Collins has been poleaxed.
My physio come out and he told me I had to get up, otherwise they were going to take me off. And some explicits and told him, how about you get hit by Homole and see how you go.
Happy to talk up Homole's hit, but not this. Nelson Asafa-Solomona cost himself a place in the NRL Grand Final and the New Zealand pack to face the Kangaroos, concussing Collins in the prelim.
Nah, I don't really care. Yeah, I've got no comment on it. Yeah, it happened like 3-4 weeks ago.
What he will say, the gauntlet thrown down by Tonga's monster forwards has them primed to avoid another Kiwi calamity.
It wasn't nice to be a part of, you know, every time you put on those colours, you know, you want to do that jersey proud, and for me, myself, you know, didn't do the jersey proud last year.
And look who's back for New Zealand.
These are like bonus minutes for me. You know, these are like those free tickets or free tokens you get at the arcade, you know, when you've won a few games.
Sean Johnson answered Stacey Jones' SOS after Jerome Hughes was ruled out.
Made it very clear, like I hadn't done much work and that I, you know, needed to get going, and he just literally said, mate, look, you'd be doing me a big favour.
Brett Thomas, 7 News.
Selectors would be alarmed by the form of Australia's batters ahead of the India series. Test regulars and hopefuls struggling in the Sheffield Shield. Matt Renshaw fell for just 2. Usman Khawaja scratched around for an 11-ball duck. Marnus Labuschagne fell for 22 as Queensland made the Redbacks attack look like the West Indies of the 80s.
Square leg, Marnus throws his head in the air, can't believe it.
Jimmy Pearson saved the Bulls' bacon with a fighting 94 before being run out at stumps. Queensland trail by 6 runs. With his rivals failing, the door was open for New South Wales batting prodigy Sam Qantas to put his name in lights and earn a maiden baggy green. But an early taste of the spotlight may have weighed on the 19-year-old against Victoria.
Off last week's twin tons, with a vacancy in the Aussie top order, Sam Qantas charged into the spotlight, just survived his first ball but was trapped by Scott Boland for 2.
Oh, that one's very close and it is out.
Not the first or last to succumb to the mayor of the MCG, Steve Smith scratched around for a 29-ball 3.
Is there a tickle? There is!
It actually felt pretty good out there, to be honest, for the 3 that I scored. Strangely enough, but yeah, I felt like I was moving well, I was leaving well.
He'll prepare for India in 1-dayers against Pakistan. Smith also confirmed he's dropping from opener to number 4 at Marnus and Khawaja's insistence.
They didn't like it at all. They wanted some security, I suppose, behind them, where I've done really well for a number of years, and I can understand that, I suppose, as well.
The stark reality.
Oh, that one's knocked him over!
Australia's bowlers have plenty on their broad shoulders for another summer. The great left armour is up and going.
Marcus Harris, who gets something on that, and he's out!
Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
Lando Norris was stripped of a podium finish in Texas in a big blow to his hopes of a maiden F1 championship. Starting from pole, Norris lost the lead at the first corner.
Down the inside though goes Max Verstappen. Lando Norris gets forced wide. Through goes the Ferrari. It's Charles Leclerc.
McLaren protested Verstappen's passing move, but it was dismissed. Charles Leclerc led home a Ferrari 1-2 from Carlos Sainz, with Norris crossing the line in third. But the Englishman copped a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits, gifting Verstappen the final spot on the podium and a 57-point championship lead with 5 races to go. Oscar Piastri was 5th. Hannah Green emulated a feat last achieved by her mentor, Kari Webb, becoming our first golfer since 2006 to win 3 LPGA Tour events in a season. Green beat a hot field at the BMW Ladies Championship in South Korea by 1 shot, keeping the trophy in Aussie hands after Minji.
On the last hole, I was hoping I would have more of a tap-in, but I like to make things interesting. But yeah, just super proud of myself.
Green collects almost $500,000 for the win. The Diamonds had one of the roughest nights in their proud history in Game 1 of the Constellation Cup in Wellington. The White Ferns dominated every facet of the series opener, romping to their biggest win over Australia in more than a decade, 64-50.
They obviously played extremely well and we didn't, to be honest, so lots to learn from that game.
The 4-game series continues in Auckland on Wednesday night. Sarah, that's our Monday Night Sport. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Revy. It's great to be here. Time to check finance now. And the Australian share market closed up 61 points. Higher gold and iron ore prices lifted the miners. WiseTech Global plunged over controversies surrounding billionaire founder Richard White. And $1 Australian is buying 66.96 US cents.
Supercars Week has officially begun on the Gold Coast with a spectacular race along the sand.
Drivers battled on the beach and went head-to-head with helicopters speeding along the Glitter Strip's coastline.
Sounding their engines. For the start of a seaside spectacle, tyres spin as high-powered street machines hit the sand, gunning for glory on a track which couldn't get any more Gold Coast. Race cars, buggies and daredevil drifters on a mission along Main Beach, battling opponents above in a race to the finish line.
I'm going to hose everyone. I've just been told don't stuff up and don't end up in the ocean.
This afternoon's antics, an adrenaline hit for Australia's supercars stars. Soon they'll be back in more familiar territory.
It's the party round of the championship, so it's the Gold Coast, which is a party town every other day of the year. We're just adding supercars, closing the streets, really bringing that party element and that really high energy atmosphere to the town.
The on-track action at the state's largest annual sporting event starts on Friday. The Glitter Strip bracing for a busy weekend on and off the circuit.
Last year's event attracted more than 200,000 people across the 3 days and injected almost $60 million into our economy.
Track preparations have ramped up. From today, the Gold Coast Highway will be reduced to 1 lane in both directions, from Waterways Drive to Surfers Paradise Boulevard. Only 1 northbound lane will be open from Thomas Drive to Waterways Drive, clearing the way for another memorable weekend of high-octane action. Liam Bland, 7 News.
A massive weekend, so much fun. Can't wait. Just ahead, the world-first skincare treatment protecting tradies and the unlikely pair who started it all.
And we're about to warm up again, but how long will it last? On the forecast next.
A group of tradies has bared all today to help nail the early detection of melanoma.
2 brothers are behind the initiative, giving up their own construction jobs to create sunscreen tailor-made for blokes.
For these tradies toiling under the sun, today was an opportunity to strip down to their jocks to catch any early signs of trouble.
Do
Do you burn easily or do you tend to tan?
We're checking for early detection of skin cancer and sun damage.
Personally, I've never had one before, so yeah, I feel like it's a good opportunity.
They said I have to get that checked out on my face.
The pop-up tent set up at a construction site.
I'm going to take a little photo of that one.
Do you wear sunscreen?
Oh, I do in the summer, yeah, like not every day though.
Do you wear sunscreen?
No.
One plumber and chippy have traded in their tools to fix this problem. The two brothers started their own skincare line.
You go to a trade site and they'd look 80 and they'd actually turn out to be 40. And I'm like, I don't look like that when I'm older.
They've designed a sunscreen that allows the body to naturally produce vitamin D while still blocking the sun's harmful rays.
1 in 4 Australians are actually considered vitamin D deficient. Even in the sunny country of Australia, that's quite alarming.
In Australia, men are twice as likely as women to develop skin cancer, with those over 55 facing the highest risk.
We'll think she'll be right, and then just something bad's happening, like, oh damn, wish I could have done something earlier.
Their mission? Make it cool for blokes to take care of their skin. Amy Clements, 7 News.
Well, it's weather time now, Tony. It'll be worth keeping that sunscreen handy this week.
Yes, Max, not crystal clear skies, but there will be plenty of sunny patches to go around, a bit like today. This pic taken at Alexandra Headland on the Sunshine Coast under mostly cloudy skies this morning, while some other areas did see a little bit more blue sky. Now, breezy southerly winds kept temperatures down on the coast while it warmed up a little bit more inland. The Gold Coast Seaway was coolest on 24 degrees, Archerfield and Ipswich at the top of the list on 29. Across Queensland today, all pretty quiet, though we did see a couple of storms over the Carnarvon National Park this afternoon. No warnings issued. One spot picking up about 16 millimetres of rain with that activity. Now onto the forecast chart. Not too much change tomorrow. We'll see a low out in the Tasman Sea here, continuing to push dry air up into southern Queensland, but winds turn onshore a little bit further north, pushing in the odd shower. Now longer term, we'll need to watch for a front down near Tasmania here. That will arrive as our next wind change towards Thursday and move through as a cooler change into Friday. Around the nation tomorrow, Hobart could pick up a couple of passing drops of rain, relatively warm there, 25 degrees, and Melbourne heats up, a forecast top of 30. A little bit cooler in the west though, tracking for 21 degrees in Perth. Back to northern Queensland, Mount Isa will feel the heat on 41 degrees and staying in the 40s until Thursday. A bit more manageable on the east coast, a slim chance of a sprinkle in Cairns and Mackay. Over southern districts, once again, you can't rule out a shower along that stretch from Rockhampton down towards Gympie, but not too much in it. Toowoomba, partly cloudy and 27. In the southeast, grading from mostly sunny down towards the Gold Coast to a little bit more cloud further north and even a possible shower on the Sunshine Coast, 26 degrees. Across the metropolitan area, we're looking at temperatures grading from 26 by the Bayside up to 28 or 29 further inland. That includes Springfield. Out on Moreton Bay, not too windy. Southerlies below 15 knots to start, then swinging more easterly through the course of the afternoon and evening. So in Brisbane, call it a partly cloudy Tuesday ahead, 17 tonight, back up to 28 degrees, all pretty comfortable. Now looking further ahead, similar again on Wednesday, 29 the top before a bump on Thursday, up to 32. In Ipswich, 35 on Thursday, then a cooler change into Friday, but only a little bit cooler, 31. Gold Coasters, 30 on Thursday, but watch for a late night storm as that next wind change moves through, then dropping back to 26 on Friday. And on the Sunshine Coast, peaking at 31 degrees on Thursday, back into the mid-20s and the odd passing shower possible into the weekend. So guys, nothing too wet, but you can't rule out a sprinkle as everyone's out and about casting their votes on Saturday.
Democracy in the sunshine, that'd be good. Thanks for that, Tony.
Now, for something to make you smile, tonight the first edition of our new segment, Sunnyside. Meet Caesar, everyone, an African lion cub born at the Darling Downs Zoo. He is so cute. He's also 10 weeks old and already weighs more than 8 kilograms.
The pregnancy surprised zookeepers because they thought his 13-year-old mum Sassy was too old for breeding. The future king of the jungle is already working on his mighty roar. Seems Caesar is quite the chatterbox. Now, if there's something you think should be featured on the Sunny Side, email sunnyside@7.com.au. And of course, Webby stole my thunder, but would like to say welcome aboard, Sarah.
Oh, thank you, Maxie. It's been so special to be reunited with family this week back home in Brizzy and the team here. Everyone's been so welcoming. So thank you all very much.
Well, we're rapt to have you here. You'll be here tomorrow night, of course, because
I'll be back.
That's all from us this Monday. Thanks for your company.
From now, from all the team, have a great night.
Good night.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want. Download